Grand Rising, family, Grand Rising. Your welding coach, Black Phoenix, checking in. And today I wanted to talk to you about stick welding. SMAW D1.1 and D1.5. Those are two different type of testing procedures that you are going to be faced with stick welding in the field. Other side of than doing a 6G stick test on pipe. This is really a structural type test. Now you have some people or some companies that do 3/8 coupons, and you have some companies that do unlimited coupons. Normally in construction and on bridges, they're going to require you to have a 1-inch coupon test plate. And they want you to do it stick welding and D1.5 uphill on a 1 inch. And they want you to stick it all the way out. Now, when you're using this, I want to come closer. He's actually practicing on a D1.5. So he's actually practicing right here. And with this test, you can't use the grinder. You can only use your rod brush and your chipping hammer and a scraper to like clean the sides of metal. And you see this is a 1-inch coupon. You're about to get ready to dive back into it. So the goal with you doing this is to test your skills. So the main thing with the D1.5 on the bridges, they want to make sure you can be consistent with no slag in it. So you want to make sure cleanliness is next to godliness on this test. They are going to test the root pass and the face. So they're going to bend it both ways. So just keep that in mind. But one of the main tips I would say on this is to make sure you practice. You see how you just got a scrap coupon up here? Always before you dive into the test, put you something up here and run you a couple beads. Make sure the machine is set right. Number one, make sure that the rods are good. You ain't got faulty rods because you can get bad rods. So you want to make sure when you're doing it that the rods are running right, the machine is set right, and then you can dive into your test. I think that's a really wise thing to do. So we're going to watch him dive into it. He's going to jump back into it. But that's one of the main tips, family. I love to say proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, because if you prepare properly, you would not perform piss poorly. So always keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the D1.1, that's more of a 3/8 coupon. A lot of times now, it can be a 1-inch coupon too, because they can use it on construction. Normally, they'll have you do this also on if you're doing ironworking construction. They'll have you do overhead and vertical up. 1-inch D1.1. 1-inch D1.1, it'll be overhead and vertical up. And normally on all these tests, they have you using 7018 series rods. 7018, 1/8 inch. He's using an 1/8 inch rod, so normally you'll use an 1/8 inch 7018 rod. And with that test, though, you can actually use the grinder. And if you got any errors, you can grind it out and clean it up. So you actually got a little bit more leniency with that test than you do on the bridge test. They want you to be a little bit more skilled and not have a grinder on hand at all. So we got him over here working on stick, and as you see, he's doing pretty well. 60-10, by the way. And we know that in the field, in construction, you're not going to use that 60-10 a lot. You're going to use a lot of 70-18. But when you're dealing with piping, normally that root, those filler passes will be with a 60-10, and then they'll cap it with a 70-18. So, but we're teaching him the fundamentals. We want him to learn how to use the 60-10 rod and the 70-18 rod in all positions. So that's our goal. And we got him working on the 60-10 as well in the flat position. Let's check him out, see what he got. He got a nice one down here. Woo! And he almost at the top. So right now, what we want you to do is fill this in. See how you got a little gap here? Mm-hmm. So start here, fill this in, tie this in, and then take it out and clean it, then come back and finish that. That way your plate will be tied in all the way. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. And that's another thing too, because see, we got a test plate up here. Now this is the 3/8 plate. See, it's not as thick, but this is a D1.1. With this, you can actually use the grinder on this test. Now a lot of them you cannot use the grinder on when you doing the D1.5, and that's unlimited. So just keep that in mind. You have to learn the basics in stick welding. That's one thing I always have to tell people. There's no such thing as reinventing the wheel, family. We have to learn the basics. But once you get the basics, we can start scaling you up. But for those who are facing tests and diving into tests out of school, I just want to give you a couple tips. Keep your metal clean, family. Having clean metal is going to help you out. Being comfortable, make sure you're comfortable before you testing. That's going to be a plus. And always, like I say, get you a scrap piece. Make sure the rods are burning right. Make sure your amperage are good. Make sure the machine settings are correct before you dive into your test. Those going to be some great tips. But just remember, on that D1.1, you can't use a grinder. But the the D1.1 you can use the grinder, I'm sorry. But the D1.5, you cannot use the grinder. So just keep that in mind. If you see a 5 in it, you can't use the grinder. And normally that's just for bridges. That's on bridge welding construction. So for those who are doing ironworking welding and you're doing buildings, they're going to do D1.1. And normally they're going to ask you or require you to have at least a 3/8 up to a 1 inch. It depends on what type of beams they're doing, what type of welding you're going to be doing on that job. They'll require you to have the bare minimum is going to be a 3/8, and it depends on if you're doing a lot of slicing together, you'll do a 1 inch. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
So I just filled it in.
And see, and that's another thing. Anytime you get to a point where you get a little frustrated, just slow down and still do it the same. You know how you just said, man, I just filled that in. Still act like it's the same thing. You know what I mean? So that way you can still get it, because that way you ain't putting something down later you got to grind out.
I got you. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because you like, dang, I put that in, now I got to take it out. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well just take your time and just do it. Try to do it the best way you can the first time. It's all good. We're in the practicing stage, family. We're in the practicing stage. You got some rock? Those the wrong size. Hold up. I gave you the bigger size. Yeah, you get the bigger size. Especially with that first one. Once it gets hot, then you can drop it down some. You know what I mean? Right here, we'll seal this next one. Like I say, I come over here. See what we got going. Yeah, I just take, do that like you did. All of these out. That way, all of that. like when you're dark color, you get out. That's how you know it. And it'll pop a lot. When you do it, you look like that's the look. But you know they'll run as long as it's burning like that. Yes, sir. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. You know I love to say it, fam. You know I love to say it. And we was just talking about that because that's one of the main tips on this that I can give you when stick welding. Hold up real quick, fam, before you grind. I want to say something on here because when we doing these tests and he's grinding this out right now, he's kind of, this is a practice, we just practicing. He kind of has some issues on the tie-in, so we're grinding this out. But on this side right here, when y'all tying in your root, and this is on a D1.1 or D1.5, when you're tying in on your root, go up on this wall about the dimensions of this rod. See, it's about an 1/8 inch. That's about the same distance you want to go up here and hesitate. Make sure, if you literally have to count 1, 2, right up that wall, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You want to make sure you hesitate and start like he did. Start at the bottom of your coupon, start doing your pattern so that way you can transition into it instead of trying to start right here and then do it and then catch yourself. You want to start at the bottom and then transition your way up into the weld. Keep that in mind. Woo, that was a good one. I can tell by the slag.
Yeah, it just got a little high in a couple spots.
Woo. Hey, now you know they learning when they start checking themselves. You ain't got to say no. Nah. On this one right here, I did so and so. So he catching the concept, fam, and that's how you learn. You literally correct yourself. Every one you do, you start saying, you know, how you can improve and make it better. So that's what it's all about. He's about to get ready to start on the 7018. Gonna start fresh again. You ready to dive? You want to do a little bit of this thing right? There you go. Now, I want to, let me try this again for you. I did cut it up a couple amps. Too quick. I think I got it on 110. Okay. How do you feel? You got to go do it tomorrow, or do you feel free for tomorrow? You gotta go.
He said it did.
Tomorrow. Come in early. I'll be here.
Come in.
Come in 8. I'll be here.
Okay.
If you want to, the place is right down the street. You feel me? All right, yeah. looking better than the other one because it was down, so we probably did have a little issue with the heat on it because even when I started that one, I had to force it. You see, I had to force the rod, so you could have burned that first one a little hot. So you want to make sure when you're on that window, it's hot enough for you to do have it with no issue. And then if you need to, turn it down and the paint will be super hot as you run your foot past and put it up. I was able to tie it in. What we do is I clean up for you and have the rest of it tomorrow. We just, yeah, in the morning we just come to be ready. Okay. Yeah, so tomorrow come to be ready and then we'll dive back into it later. We out, fam. Hold on.